What's up, y'all? Week 8. Look, last week was rough. Okay, week 7, the pay lines were down on DraftKings. Not a ton went right, but the nice thing is that was for everybody, not just us. So let's shake it off. Let's put that behind us. We got great picks for this week. Let's roll. Thursday, Vikings at Rams. Vikings did not seem to have a plan for Puka and Cup. The Rams got rolling, and the Vikings got one-dimensional. They stopped running or really looking for anything other than Jefferson. The Vikings do need to figure out how they're going to defend the pass better moving forward. The Rams have now won 2 games in 5 days, and they get a week and a half to get ready for a beatable Seahawks team without DK Metcalf. Things are looking up for them right now with their 2 main receivers back and opening up things for Stafford. On to Sunday, fun day. Cardinals at the Dolphins. So Tua's back, and I don't know how wise that is, but this isn't my call. He will make the offense crisp again. We do know that. All these guys are back in play for us at this point now. So I wouldn't play him at all, but just remember OBJ is in the mix now too for Miami. Also, Tua, Achane, Hill, and Waddle are all in play this Sunday. Everyone is a tournament play, but Hill is a cash game play. At $7K, we want to get in on this. We've seen what these two can do, and this Arizona defense ain't scaring nobody. Connor makes sense on the other side. Kyler's fine, but I won't get there. The Miami defense has been playing okay. I guess I'm worried that there's not much to offer from Arizona, which in turn would cap the Miami offense from needing to do more. Hill is a sure thing, though. Fins up. Jets at the Patriots. Jacksonville at one point ran 17 straight run plays against the Patriots defense last week. 17. Let's fire up Breece Hall. He's a cash game play this week for sure. Lock that in. The Jets passing game is in a fine spot, but honestly, the path of least resistance lies on the ground this week for them. For DFS, Lazard is an interesting pay down spot at 4,800. But Wilson and Adams are too much, and Rodgers will be overshadowed in production by similarly priced QBs this Sunday. So the Jets defense feels like a seasonal play. That team's going to roll in this one. Eagles at the Bengals. I'm expecting an exciting game in this one with a lot of offense as our upside when the Birds fly into Cincy on Sunday. Joe Burrow is my cash game QB this week. Hear me out. Eggo's tough against the run, but Joe has weapons all around him in his passing game, so he should be firing on all cylinders. The Eagles' offense is also potent, so we expect the Bengals to need to keep playing all game, essentially. We know Philly can be thrown on. Burrow's putting the Bengals on his back this week is what I'm going with. Chase feels very expensive. I'm not saying he won't produce on Sunday, but for DFS, he would need like 2 or 3 touchdowns, and then there's ownership to consider. I'm out on that. But Higgins is handsomely priced for us at $6,500, and he is in the cash game lineup with Papa Joe this Sunday. We want to bring it back with A.J. Brown for sure, who's heating up. It's a good matchup for him also, and because Saquon and Hurts in the run game will require the defense's full attention. So Brown is a cash game play at $8,200 this week. He's also still cheaper than Chase. Now, Devontae Smith is a tournament play for me this week, along with Hurts. Saquon is way too expensive for DFS, but ultimately in a good spot. Bengals find a way to win this one at home. We've seen Joe Burrow have one game with 5 touchdowns already this year. He will do what it takes to win this football game. The Eagles still get shot in the foot sometimes with coaching errors, and this feels like maybe one of those weeks. Big Cats win in Cincinnati. Packers at the Jaguars. Packers at the Jaguars. So I think the Jaguars come back down to earth this week. Can't really trust the run game in this scenario where they figure to be trailing. The Jaguars are seasonal plays this week. This includes Brian Thomas. If I had to play someone in DFS, it would be Bigsby in tournaments at 6,300. Also Ingram this week. Really like Ingram at tight end for tournaments. Or as they're also called GPPs because they are guaranteed prize pool games. So you hear us talk about tournaments as GPPs. Moving on moving forward from now, it's just easier to type out. So on the other side, more interesting than Bigsby, though, would be Josh Jacobs at 6,600 this week. Again, it fits the expectations of game flow to play him in tournaments because the Packers essentially should be running clock. Jaden Reed is a cash game play for me at $6,700 this week. He's emerged as this skillful wideout with elite catching ability at this early stage in his career. He's doubled down and coupled that with elite route running, quickness, and also body control. So LaFleur has a weapon to be used in various different deployments. That's going to be a showcase on Sunday for me. Him and Love in tournaments for me this week make a lot of sense. Let's take the Pack on the road. Doug Peterson is biding his time, it feels like, in Jacksonville. Titans at the Lions. Titans just trade away DeAndre Hopkins. We'll get into that also with the Chiefs game, but it doesn't take a genius to figure out Detroit is going to win this game. The question is, what is playable for DFS? We do trust them. It's like basically, do we trust them to produce enough to pay off their prices, meaning the Lions? And I'm going to say no and pass this week. St. Brown or A.J. Brown this week, for the difference of $200 less for Brown than St. Brown, I will have to go with A.J. It is a much more fluid matchup for A.J. Brown, whereas I'm not sure if the Lions will need to do much against the Titans. This defense is a cash game play, though, this week. As I just said, Titans traded away Hopkins, too, so that's one less weapon. I think, as I just said, the Lions are a cash game play this week versus this Tennessee offense led by Mason Rudolph down a receiver. I'll take the Lions a lot to a little this week in this one. Falcons at the Buccaneers. Okay, so I know you guys got maybe some shoddy memories, but we can remember a few weeks back, right? We all can remember the fun shootout that we had a couple of weeks back. We don't have Evans and Godwin this time, though. So this game is going to look a little bit different than what we can expect from before. The Bucs have a bad defense. Like, that's against the pass, that's against the run, all of it right now. Bijan Robinson is in play for sure. He figures to be able to find some room on the ground. And the Falcons should also be the team that's ahead in this game. London is too expensive for DFS, and I just don't need to play anybody else besides Bijan from the Falcons, even though we can expect some points here. He's a cash game play, Bijan Robinson. Now, I do like Baker this week on the other side. He's a late ad for me. I am interested. I want to see what he can do with Sterling Shepard and Jalen McMillan, who are $3,800 and $3,700 respectively this week on DraftKings. Pairing them with Baker makes sense as a GPP stack. You can bring it back with Bijan if you want. Falcons win, but let's see what the Bucs give us. No interest in Bucky or any of the Tampa backs. Too erratic for me. Ravens at the Browns. Ravens traveling to Cleveland. We know Jameis Winston is getting the nod this week. This offers Cleveland the most upside to win by a mile. Anybody else starting would suggest to me that the tank was probably on. Now, Judy burned me last week. I'm tempted to go back, but I will defer instead for Cedric Tillman. I know that we have a change at QB, but Tillman was targeted 12 times last week, and he did catch 8 of those, and he scored. Even if Judy gets more looks, I think Tillman would still make more of his opportunities this week. It's a bold move, but let's double down and let's take him in cash games. Let's play him at $3,300 this week. He is the key to fitting in the A.J. Browns, etc. for this week. 12 targets, $3,300. League worst, Ravens secondary. Hopefully, all this is adding up for you guys. Njoku for GPPs also is fine this week. He had 28 points on DraftKings last week, highest score, tight end one by a mile. For the Ravens is really just the defense that I want at $3,400. The offense and Lamar are in a good spot, but essentially, y'all, it's too good. In this, like with this defense, if they get a turnover or put points on the board, that's surely going to seal the deal here. There's so many higher upside plays this week for offense. There's a lot of offense out there this week. So we don't need to feel pressured for DFS purposes by the names on the back of the jerseys that we do know. Seasonal, obviously play Lamar, Henry, and Flowers. They're all fine. Justice Hill for DFS. I have come back and made a late ad at $5,400. He is one of just 2 running backs I'll play under $6K this week on DK. DraftKings. Ravens win, but the Browns have a shot to finally break 20 points in a game this year, this Sunday. Thank you in advance, Jameis Winston. Oh, yes, the Colts at the Texans. Man, I love when these two teams play, y'all. There is a wealth of offense here to explore. I know Diggs disappointed last week, but we're going right back to the well this week. It's him and Stroud in tournaments for sure. Mixon is a bit expensive for me, though. I'll bring it back on the other side with of using them with Alec Pierce at 5K. Pittman costs too much, but I do expect him and Josh Downs to be in the thick of it. Pierce can pay off his price in this environment with just one moonshot touchdown, like he had the first time these two played earlier this year. That was a thriller. Richardson is back. Let's play this. Let's do this. I'm out on Taylor this week, though. The Texans are pretty stout against the run, but for seasonal, he's fine if he goes. If he doesn't go, I'll be out on that run game altogether. I've got the Texans to bounce back from last week's disappointing loss. Moving on to the Bears and the Commanders. So Jaden Daniels should play this week, but hold on a minute. The Bears have been a good defense, by golly. This is a tougher matchup for Daniels and the Commanders' offense. The team can assert itself, though, with Brian Robinson Jr. He's a great play this week. Behind that offensive line, they're going to make life tough in the trenches for the Bear D front four. As far as the Bears go, look, Caleb Williams is he's in a nice spot, and he's been playing well, outperforming like the likes of Mahomes so far in terms of fantasy production this year. He's a GPP play this week, and we want to pair him with who? Keenan Allen, who's only $5,800 on DraftKings this week. Criminal. At these prices, we can't ignore these Bear players. We got to look to pair them together when we look at the resume of work that they've done this year. Swift is also in play, I got to admit, at $6,200. So ultimately, the physical style of the Bears is going to be the difference maker in this one. I think they grab a win on the road in Washington this week. Moving straight along to the Saints at the Chargers. Saints getting Olave back for New Orleans, but until we see Carr, we just don't care. MVS also joining the Saints, I don't care. The lack of a passing game hampers Kamara, and the running game also. In addition to all this, we know that the Chargers have a solid defense. So they're in a nice spot. I would say Lad McConkey, can be played if you want in GPPs. I don't think I get there, but the Saints are having huge issues in the secondary with this lackluster play, along with the mounting level of injuries, too. This is a very vulnerable group. For DFS and cash games, we will play Dissely and Hurst at tight end. If one of them plays for the Chargers. If neither of them plays, just punt with Gray from Kansas City again this week. That's what we're doing at cash game tight end. Chargers D, they're $3,300. We got to play them. Bolts win in SoFi over the Saints this week. Bills at the Seahawks. Amari Cooper fit right into the program last week. That's great for Cooper owners. This week, I think we see the offense shine even more, integrate even more. I like Khalil Shakir and Cooper this week, and Cook and Allen. But ultimately, I'm going to stay away from these guys in DFS this week. The Seahawks minus DK Metcalf do not inspire much confidence in me this week. The defense for Buffalo might be able to win this one outrightly and largely on their own. Walker is a great play, though, for me this week for GPP tournaments. Seattle, they're going to need to assert the run to take some pressure off of Geno and the passing game. Slow this thing down. Make it a slugfest. So that's why we won't play Buffalo's defense. And, we got to consider they haven't been good against the run all year. So Bills should win this one by at least 2 scores on the road. But Walker's playable. Panthers at the Broncos. No Andy Dalton. He and his family were in a car accident. Luckily, they're okay, but he's out this week. So enter the train wreck that is Bryce Young. This Sunday, for me, this just zaps any momentum that this offense would have had. This is a huge boon for the Broncos defense. I like the run game for the Broncos. Javonte Williams makes sense, and I will revisit McLaughlin also. I like him as I expect the Broncos to be up and playing good defense. McLaughlin is $4,600. It makes sense for us this week for tournaments. Broncos roll. Chiefs at the Raiders, as mentioned, DeAndre Hopkins traded to the Chiefs. It's a conditional pick. Obviously, it would be a better pick if certain things happen, like he plays all year, et cetera, et cetera. But Chiefs really being put in a point where they had to do this with Juju Smith-Schuster also getting injured now. So he's going to have to step up and play a big role for them. They have some stuff ready for him this week, but again, don't expect too much. The Raiders are not good. That we know. Doesn't matter if it's Minshew this week. The Chiefs D's in play for us at $3,600. Hunt looks good on the other side of things. I'd say also Kelsey is a reach, but Gray, again, makes sense. And like I said before, we can bottom out with him at $3K if neither Hurst nor Disley is available for the Chargers. I don't expect Mahomes in the passing game to really need to do much in this one. But again, I like Hunt. I will be using him for cash games. Kansas City's going to win this one convincingly. And that will bring us to Sunday night, where the Cowboys are going to travel to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. Even with their injuries and all, the 49ers are 4.5-point favorites at home for this one. So that's how bad the Cowboys have been at times on defense, but also, turnovers from the offense, Dak throwing picks. The Niners defense is going to test this Dallas offense on Sunday night. The Cowboys need to bring the A game, and you know what? No doubt they will. They are undefeated on the road this year. All their losses have come at home. There's not much that I want to test here with Dallas. The defense feels fair if you need them, especially in seasonal. You got Lamb Plam in seasonal and feel fine, but for DFS purposes, it's like San Fran, they're not a bad defense as well. And if the offense can play better, that's going to help the defense. So I just don't know how much I want to test that. On the other side, the Niners are hoping to have Debo back, but we'll see. Jennings is in play, but ultimately not expecting a lot from this Niners offense. Dallas has had 2 weeks to prepare for this ailing 49er unit, and I just think that they have their hands full on Sunday night, being the 49ers. Feels like a defensive tug-of-war between these two teams that San Francisco finally will win in the end of the game. And that'll bring us finally on to Monday, where we'll get the Giants at the Steelers. Russ looked good in his Steeler debut last week. He blew the doors off anything I personally was expecting from him in his debut. This gets everything moving for that team. For Tomlin's guys, Pickens is a nice play this week now. Freiermuth is in play also, and Najee Harris in the run game essentially get the big boost here with more stable and confident passing game play. The Steelers' defense will benefit also from not having to stay out on the field for so long now. We saw Russ and the offense operate and take up some clock. So, I don't want anything on the Giants side. It's going to be a long night for those boys. Maybe Wendell Robinson if you need a Hail Mary. I think the Steelers keep the rookie neighbors in check this week, though. Well, there you have it. Good luck Sunday, and let's meet right back here next week. I'm sorry, we won't meet next week. I'll be out of town, so it'll be in 2 weeks. We'll be right back here so that we can learn, scout, win, and repeat. And in the meantime, enjoy your Halloween.
Hi, Daddy.